After my mother's funeral, an envelope was placed on the table. On it, there were only these words: "Open this last." Everyone waited in anticipation. When the envelope was finally opened, what was inside left the entire family speechless. This story is entirely fictional and has no connection to real events. The autumn sun dipped low over Crestwood, a small town cradled in the rolling hills of upstate New York, casting a golden glow across the red brick facade of the Crestwood Mosque. Inside, the air was thick with grief as the janazah prayer for Amina Carter drew to a close. The scent of roses and sandalwood lingered, mingling with the soft hum of duas whispered by mourners. Sarah Carter, 25, stood at the mosque's arched entrance, her navy hijab framing a face etched with sorrow. Her mother, Amina, had been the heartbeat of their family and a cornerstone of the community, a woman whose kindness touched shopkeepers, children, and strangers alike. Now, she was gone, taken by a sudden illness that left Sarah grappling with a void she couldn't name. The mosque's community room buzzed with mourners gathered for a meal, a tradition to honor the deceased. Long wooden tables were laden with trays of fragrant biryani, steaming lentil soup, creamy hummus, warm naan, and bowls of dates, all donated by neighbors who loved Amina. Sarah's father, Yusuf, sat at the head, his graying beard and tired eyes betraying his loss. Her younger brother, Adam, 17 and lanky, fidgeted beside her, his usual energy subdued by grief. Their cousins, Layla and Omar, spoke in hushed tones, while aunts, uncles, and distant relatives filled the room with a chorus of memories and condolences. The soft clink of plates and the murmur of voices created a comforting rhythm, but Sarah felt detached, her mind replaying her mother's final days. She kept hearing Amina's voice, weak but steady, from her hospital bed. "Trust in Allah's plan, Sarah. Everything has a purpose." Those words were a lifeline, yet also a riddle she couldn't unravel. Amina had always been a woman of intention, her actions rooted in faith. Whether teaching children at the mosque, organizing food drives, or offering a kind word to a struggling neighbor. What purpose could her loss possibly serve? As Sarah cleared plates from the table, her eyes caught something startling. Amid the clutter of cups, napkins, and half-eaten plates sat a single white envelope, pristine and deliberate. In her mother's elegant handwriting, it bore 3 words: "Open this last." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She reached for it, her fingers trembling, but her father's hand gently stopped her. "Not yet, Sarah," Yusuf said, his voice low but firm. He picked up the envelope, tucking it into the pocket of his charcoal coat. "Your mother was clear. We open it last." "Last?" Sarah whispered, her curiosity flaring like a spark in the dark. "Last when, Baba?" Yusuf's eyes, so like Amina's, held a mix of grief and something else. Hope, perhaps, or a secret. "When the time is right. She said we'd know." The room grew quiet, the weight of the envelope settling over the family like a silent presence. Adam leaned forward, his teenage impatience cutting through his sadness. "What's in it, Dad? A letter? Her will? Did Mom tell you anything?" Yusuf shook his head, his fingers brushing the pocket where the envelope rested. "She only said it's for all of us, and we'd find the answers in her life." Layla, practical and sharp-witted, crossed her arms, her brow furrowed. "Why the mystery? It's just an envelope. What's the big deal?" Omar, the eldest cousin at 30, nodded, his voice steady but tinged with urgency. "Yeah, Uncle Yusuf. Mom's gone. This feels like her last words to us." Sarah's aunt, Fatima, a warm woman with a knack for storytelling, spoke up from across the table. Your mother always had a way of surprising us, she said, her eyes misty. She'd planned things with such care, like she was weaving a tapestry only she could see. Whatever's in that envelope, it's her heart speaking to you. Sarah felt a spark ignite within her. Her mother had never done anything without purpose. Amina was a woman of deep faith, who lived by the Quran's teachings, kindness, patience, and trust in Allah. If she'd left this envelope, it wasn't just a note. It was a message, a final gift to guide them. But what did last mean? And how would they know when the time was right? The mourners began to disperse, their footsteps echoing in the quiet mosque. Sarah's uncle, Bilal, a jovial man with a booming laugh, pulled her aside. Your mother was planning something big before she got sick, he said, his voice soft. She didn't tell me what, but she said it would bring Crestwood together. Maybe that envelope's part of it. Sarah's mind raced. Amina had always been a planner, weaving her love for family and community into everything she did. Was the envelope tied to some unfinished project, a legacy she wanted them to complete? She glanced at her father, who stood by the door, thanking the last of the mourners. The envelope's weight seemed to anchor him, a silent promise to his late wife. That evening, the family gathered at the Carter home, a cozy house filled with Amina's warmth. Woven rugs from her travels to Morocco adorned the floors. A framed calligraphy of Surah Ar-Rahman hung on the living room wall, and a bookshelf brimmed with her favorite novels, Islamic texts, and journals. Sarah brewed mint tea, the clink of cups a small comfort against the ache in her chest. They sat in the living room, the envelope now on the coffee table, its presence commanding attention like a sacred relic. Let's just open it, Adam urged, his voice breaking the silence. What are we waiting for? It's been a long day. Omar nodded, his hands clasped tightly. Yeah, Uncle Yusuf. It's Mom's last words. We need to know. Aunt Fatima leaned forward, her voice gentle but firm. Patience, Omar. Your mother was specific. If she said last, there's a reason. We need to trust her. Yusuf's fingers brushed the envelope, his expression torn. She said last for a purpose. We need to honor her wishes. There's something we must do first. Sarah's heart pounded. What do we need to do, Baba? Did she leave any clues? Yusuf's gaze softened, his voice steady. She said the answers are in what she loved, her faith, her family, her community. We need to look there. The words were cryptic, yet they stirred something in Sarah. Amina's life was a tapestry of love and service. Her mornings spent in Fajr prayer, her afternoons tutoring children at the mosque, her evenings organizing food drives or knitting scarves for the homeless. Was the answer in her routines, her charity work, her quiet moments of reflection? The family agreed to search for clues, starting the next day. Sarah felt a flicker of purpose. She would unravel her mother's mystery, no matter how long it took. The next morning, Sarah began at the Crestwood Mosque, where Amina had been a cornerstone. The building was modest, with a minaret that glowed in the sunrise and a courtyard where children played after Sunday school. Imam Hassan greeted her warmly, his white beard framing a kind smile. Your mother was a blessing to us all, he said. Did you know she kept a journal here? For her charity work. Sarah's pulse quickened. A journal? Can I see it? In a small office, the Imam handed her a leather-bound notebook, its pages worn but cherished. Amina's neat script detailed her projects. Food drives for the homeless, tutoring programs for children, fundraisers for the mosque's youth camp, and plans for interfaith events with the local church and synagogue. One entry, dated a month before her passing, stood out. The key is in giving. When my family is ready, They'll find it in Crestwood's heart. Sarah's breath caught. The heart of Crestwood? The town itself? She ran her fingers over the words, feeling her mother's presence in every letter. She shared the journal with her family that evening, and they pored over it, searching for meaning. Adam, ever eager, suggested checking Amina's favourite places. The library where she tutored, the community garden where she tended roses, the park where she walked each morning. Layla, the planner, proposed talking to people Amina had helped, believing their stories might hold clues. Omar suggested they split up to cover more ground, while Aunt Fatima offered to search Amina's belongings for hidden notes. Uncle Bilal, always practical, suggested checking the family's old storage unit, where Amina kept mementos from her travels. The search became a journey, each step pulling the family deeper into Amina's legacy. Sarah started at the library, a quaint building with tall windows and shelves overflowing with books. Mrs. Evans, the librarian, greeted her with a warm hug. "Your mother called education a light," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "She started our free tutoring program for kids. Before she passed, she left a box of books for it, said you'd know what to do with them." The box held children's books, stories of adventure, faith, and kindness, each with a note in Amina's handwriting. For the future. Sarah's heart ached, but the discovery fueled her curiosity. Was this part of the puzzle? She flipped through the books, hoping for hidden messages, but found only Amina's love for learning. She took a few books home, her mind buzzing with possibilities. Next, Sarah visited the community garden, a lush patch of green where Amina had spent hours tending roses and vegetables. Mr. Patel, an elderly neighbour with a gentle smile, showed her a wooden bench Amina had donated, engraved with "Grow Together." He chuckled softly. She said this garden was Crestwood's heart, where people connect, share, and grow. She was planning something big here, you know. She mentioned a project to expand it, make it a place for everyone. The words echoed the journal entry. Sarah's mind whirled. Was the garden the key? Or was it something bigger? She noticed a small plaque near the roses, half hidden by vines. It read, "In memory of those who give." Had Amina placed it there? Another clue? She took a photo, determined to discuss it with the family. Adam visited the park, a sprawling space with a pond where Amina walked each morning. He met Mrs. Alvarez, the baker, who shared how Amina had paid for a struggling family's groceries. "She never wanted credit," Mrs. Alvarez said, wiping her eyes. "She just wanted to help. She left me a recipe card once for her saffron rice, said it was for sharing." Adam found the recipe card in Mrs. Alvarez's shop, tucked in a frame. On the back, in Amina's handwriting, was a note. "Share with love." He texted Sarah a photo, his excitement palpable. Another piece of the puzzle. Layla spoke to Mr. Thompson, the gruff shopkeeper who ran the hardware store. He admitted Amina had tutored his son, turning his failing grades into A's. "She saw potential in everyone," he muttered, his usual scowl softening. He handed Layla a drawing his son had made for Amina, a sketch of a lantern symbolizing light. On the back, Amina had written, "Light the way." Layla's eyes widened. Was this a clue? Omar visited the mosque's youth center, where Amina had mentored teens. Sister Zainab, the youth leader, shared how Amina had funded scholarships for summer camp. "She left an envelope here too," Zainab said, handing Omar a small note. It read, "Look where hearts meet." Omar's heart raced. The community center, the garden, the mosque. Uncle Bilal checked the family's storage unit, finding a box of Amina's old journals and photos. One journal entry described her dream of uniting Crestwood through a shared space, a place for learning, worship, and connection. A photo showed Amina at the community centre, smiling with a group of children from different faiths. On the back, she'd written, "This is where it begins." The clues were mounting, but the envelope's secret remained elusive. Sarah felt the weight of her mother's absence, yet also her presence in every story, every memento. One evening, she sat in Amina's room, surrounded by her mother's belongings. Her prayer rug folded neatly, her favorite green scarf draped over a chair, a worn copy of the Quran on the nightstand. In a drawer, Sarah found a small brass key taped to a note. "For the chest in the attic. When you're ready." Her heart pounded. She called the family, and they climbed to the attic, where a dusty wooden chest sat under a sheet. Yusuf unlocked it, revealing a treasure trove: letters from Amina's youth, photos of family trips to the Grand Canyon, Morocco, and Turkey, and mementos like a locket from her wedding day, and a prayer bead set she'd cherished. At the top was another note. "My family, you've followed my heart. You've seen my life's work. Now, open the envelope together." Sarah's hands trembled as she held the white envelope. Its 3 words: "Open this last," burning in her mind. They gathered in the living room, the envelope on the coffee table like a sacred relic. The room was silent, save for the soft ticking of a clock and the distant chirping of crickets outside. Yusuf opened it slowly, revealing a single sheet of paper and another small key. Sarah read the letter aloud, her voice shaking. "My beloved family. If you're reading this, you've walked in my footsteps. I've lived my life for Allah, for you, and for Crestwood. The key in this envelope is for the community centre's old storage room. Inside is my final gift, not just for you, but for everyone. Share it with love, as I've always tried to do. Yours forever, Amina." The family sat in stunned silence. A key? To the community centre? Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. What could her mother have left there? A gift for the whole town? Adam broke the silence, his voice eager. "Let's go now." Yusuf shook his head. "Tomorrow. We'll go together, at sunrise." It's what she would have wanted. That night, Sarah barely slept, her mind buzzing with questions. She prayed Fajr with extra focus, seeking clarity. What was Amina's final gift? And why the community centre, a place that had faded from Crestwood's daily life? At dawn, the family drove to the community centre, a faded building that had once been the town's hub, but now stood neglected, its paint peeling and windows dusty. The storage room was at the back, its door covered in cobwebs and locked tight. Yusuf inserted the key, and the lock clicked open with a soft groan. Inside, they found a treasure trove: boxes of books for the tutoring program, stacks of blankets for the homeless, art supplies for children, and detailed blueprints for a community renovation project. Amina had been working to revive the centre, envisioning it as a place for all of Crestwood, Muslims, Christians, Jews, and others, to gather, learn, and grow. A final note pinned to the blueprints read, "This is Crestwood's heart. Build it together." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. This was her mother's legacy, a vision of unity rooted in faith and compassion. The family stood speechless, not from shock, but from awe at Amina's love. The envelope hadn't held wealth or secrets. It held a call to action, a blueprint for bringing people together. Over the next year, Sarah took the lead, her grief transformed into purpose. The family rallied the community, and Crestwood came alive. Volunteers painted walls, built classrooms, and planted a garden around the center. Local businesses donated supplies. Mrs. Alvarez provided baked goods for fundraisers, and Mr. Thompson, the skeptical shopkeeper, contributed paint, muttering about Amina's crazy ideas. The mosque, church, and synagogue held joint events, raising funds and fostering unity. Children from Amina's tutoring program designed a mural for the center's entrance. A vibrant tree with branches symbolizing every faith and culture in Crestwood. The grand reopening was a celebration Crestwood would never forget. The centre gleamed with fresh paint, its halls filled with laughter, music, and the aroma of shared meals. A library corner held Amina's books, a garden bloomed with her roses, and a community room buzzed with classes and events. A plaque at the entrance read, Amina Carter, the light of Crestwood. Sarah stood before the crowd, her voice steady despite her nerves. My mother believed in the power of community, she said. She taught us that faith and love can build bridges. This center is her gift to us all, a place to grow together, to live with purpose. As families mingled, children played, and neighbors shared stories, Sarah felt her mother's presence. The envelope had been a mystery, but its true gift was clear. A legacy of unity, a reminder to live with compassion, and a light that would shine for generations.